Alright, for our new video, we are going to draw something more dynamic and action-oriented. I'm going to try to show you how to get away from being flat when you're drawing your characters. So my idea is, I'm thinking like Faust jumping off a building. He's kind of coming at you and claws out and stuff. So let's start a little bit here and get his head. Now you notice that it's not just a circle. I've already thrown in the jawline, knowing that there'd be a circle here, and we're going to cut it in half and go to our basics of what we need, and then we'll go to the shoulders and the body and how the shoulder comes up off the chest, keeping it around, full figures, gets the shoulders back, pull them, and still understanding that we're hooked into the body and we're pulling on muscles here. And then he's all flexed and cocked up here. So see how this shoulder muscle, bicep, and we get into the forearm. And you can see that this is going down and this is going out. So as you can see, I'm showing you little flatnesses of like a cylinder, but it shows that what the dimension is. We'll get a little bit of the shoulder or the quad, whatever that is right there. Ask Frank Cho, he knows that stuff. And then we'll get his fingers. His hand is cocked, fisted. Claws are going to be popping out, but you can get your fingers moving, not just straight, but they break in toward the thumb. And then we'll get his claws coming out at you. So we have a nice movement going back and then coming out towards you. And then we just start doing little bumps of muscles wherever we want. Still keeping to a pretty good anatomy, but if you want to add muscles wherever you want, go ahead. Little things. It doesn't have to be actually actual. So here we go. We get into a little rib cage action down here, and we'll pop the rib cage out a little bit just to give it a little bit more punch there. Stomach sucking back. And we'll get to the face, break that. But I'm constantly thinking how this sits up toward us. Like, I know that this is in a socket, the nose is coming out, but it's kind of flexed because he's going to be screaming. Squinched. This sits back in. Cheekbone, but it comes out. Around. Always think round. And then his mouth is open, but you see how that sits in and this comes out around, and then we got to get a little screaming facial expressions that you need to be aware of and have muscle flexing in the face, chin, and then we can put some like flexing of the necks, he's screaming, flexing of the chest. horns out here. But you gotta make sure that you don't keep them flat, making sure that they're, like I know this one's going away and this one's coming out, up, and then away. So you're keeping dimension, how things are moving in mind. You gotta see your ear sits up by the ear, or the eye and the nose. I mean, it can be a little distorted, you know, somewhat, but make sure it fits within that. Get his mask coming down. And then we got to work in foreshortening back here, because his legs are going away from us now, but we got to find the hip. We got to find a hip. This is kind of like his butt muscle and coming into the hip, and this is flattening out. Everything starts to stack on each other now. Like this leg, as it comes back, is going to be coming back, and you're going to see his foot coming here. So I know that this leg is back up in here, and then his calf is coming up, and his heel shows up. And then it just depends how much I want to show of that flatness of his foot there. How much of an edge I want to see of the bottom of the foot. We'll try to get some of it in there, because it's a hard position, especially get the front of that. And then this leg comes up, but it starts, your legs are going to turn in toward each other a little bit. And we'll put this hand out in front of us, and this arm, and so now we got a nice sweeping motion. And then this foot now has to catch a little bit of the bottom of the foot here. I mean, it's a hard angle, but you know, you can go back and refine afterwards. And his cape will be flowing. That might be too dramatic right there, too much of a bend, but oh well. Let's see, like say if the roof is here, and we're coming down, he just jumped. And we get the forearm overlapping the bicep now, instead of the bicep overlapping the forearm, because we're in front of it. And then we get his fist. Then we get claws. And we can exaggerate these a little bit. Throw some cape under there to cause a little bit more dimension. Yeah. This is odd. Let's bring his leg out more. It's looking a little bit better. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. It's a tough angle. Let's put the foot out here. That's better. Let's get the fist in here. Now we gotta focus on the fingers and get the thumb. Start off with the forefinger there. We got his little details of his costume. But now, like I said, now as we get into the other fingers, they start to move toward the thumb. They just don't go straight. They move toward the thumb. This clause actually comes between these two fingers. The other one comes here between these two. And let's make his calf a little bit more stronger looking. More flex. We'll probably bring the chest into that. We'll have to bring the rib cage out a little bit. And now I'm just kind of cleaning up the anatomy, figuring out what it is, and hip bone, get a couple of muscles in here. I don't know exactly how they are, but I'm putting just muscles kind of flowing in his leg. Let's bring the cape where it comes out over here a little bit too. So it has more of a flare. See, everything's round. This is rounding away and coming in. This is coming across. This is pulling this way and going down and coming out. This swings out. I'm not crazy about this foot still, but let's try to point the toes a little bit more. See, that was the top of the foot there, and now I'm just thinking if the big toe is going to be here, so this has to kinda, that's a tough angle. I'd probably have to rework that a number of times until I got it right, but for right now, it'll do. Get some muscles, maybe his knees in there. All right. Right now I'm at a point where I could probably, for the sketch sake, I could start inking this. Let's work a little bit right here and get his rib cage and get some muscles in here. Just jazz it up with. So you know that this is going to come back and then it's going to shoot. So if this butt comes here, we might get a glimpse of his ass crack right there. Maybe. Coming in, put a little bit more. All right. I gotta get my brush.